Okay, so get this. We're diving into this article from Muy Interesante magazine today. And it's all about AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Okay.
And, whether it could actually be considered like a new intelligent species.
New intelligent species. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Right. It's pretty wild. But before we jump into all that, I'm curious, do you remember learning about Neanderthals back in school?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They were pretty sophisticated, like making tools and even creating art, but eventually they just disappeared.
Right.
And this article kind of hints that maybe AGI could be like the new Neanderthals in a way.
Huh. That's a really interesting comparison.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how, different intelligent species might interact with each other.
Totally.
We don't really know for sure what happened to the Neanderthals.
Right.
But it's fascinating to think about the possibilities.
And it's not like we haven't seen this kind of thing before, right?
Yeah.
Humans have always been creating tools to make life easier. Exactly.
To, push the boundaries of what we can do.
Yeah, think about it. We went from like the first stone tools
Right.
to the printing press to the internet.
Exactly.
And each of those inventions, they revolutionized society.
Yeah.
Changed how we live and how we think.
For sure.
And AI, it's really just the next step in that evolution of tools.
Okay, but here's the thing. This article makes me wonder if AI is actually more than just another tool. Like, what if it's something completely different? Something that can, think for itself?
Yeah.
They talk about this difference between narrow AI and AGI.
Yeah, that distinction is really key to understanding the potential impact of AI.
Okay.
So narrow AI, which is what we mostly see today,
Right.
is great at very specific tasks.
Okay.
It's like a calculator that can solve complex equations but can't write a poem.
Got it.
But AGI, well, that's a whole different ballgame.
So AGI is more like a human brain.
Yeah.
Able to learn and adapt to all kinds of situations, not just a one-trick pony. Precisely think of it like a child learning new skills.
Okay.
They don't start out knowing everything, but they observe the experiment, they learn.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of generalized intelligence that AGI is aiming for.
And this article is suggesting that AGI might be closer than we think. Maybe even before the end of the decade.
Well,
do you really think that's possible?
there's definitely a lot of debate about the timeline.
Okay.
Some experts think it will be like a certain breakthrough, a moment of emergence, where AGI suddenly appears fully formed.
Wow.
Others think it will be more gradual, like slowly turning up the volume on intelligence.
That's kind of mind-blowing. The idea that we could be on the verge of creating something that's as intelligent as we are, or maybe even more so.
It is a profound concept.
Yeah.
And it makes us think about some big questions.
Like what?
About what it actually means to be intelligent. What it means to be human.
What about this whole emergence thing? It seems like a pretty important idea in understanding how AGI might actually develop.
It's a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
Imagine a flock of birds. You know how they move together in these intricate patterns?
Yeah.
No single bird is controlling the whole flock.
Okay.
But the complex interactions between them create something greater than just the sum of its parts.
So you're saying AGI's intelligence might emerge in a similar way. Like it's not just about the individual components,
Right.
It's how they all work together.
Exactly. The article suggests that AGI might not be something that we program directly,
Okay.
but something that arises from the complex interplay of algorithms and data.
Yeah.
It could have capabilities we didn't even anticipate.
Oh, wow.
Just like emergent phenomena in nature often surprise us.
That's both exciting and a little bit scary.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like we're creating something that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
Something that could have a mind of its own.
Right.
And that's where this whole idea of agency comes in, right?
Yes, agency is a key concept here.
Okay.
It's about the ability to act intentionally, to make choices.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a calculator that gives you an answer and an AI that decides what questions to ask.
So we're not just talking about a superpowered tool, but
Right.
like potentially an entity that can make its own decisions.
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
Absolutely. It raises all sorts of questions
Yeah, like what?
about control, responsibility, and even the nature of consciousness.
Wow.
And that's where things start to get really interesting.
Yeah,
And maybe a little unsettling for some people.
I can see that. So we're talking about AGI potentially having agency.
Right.
Like it could set its own goals, make its own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge leap from the AI we have today.
It is.
What are the implications of that? I mean, really?
And one of the first things that comes to mind is the potential impact on the workforce.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine an AI that can learn any job,
Right.
do it faster, and never needs a break.
It's like that movie, right? Where the robots take over all the jobs and humans are left with nothing to do.
Yeah, the article actually addresses that fear.
Okay.
It argues that instead of seeing AGI as a job killer, we should think about how it can actually augment human capabilities.
Okay.
Like we could collaborate with AI,
Mm-hmm.
freeing us up to focus on more creative and strategic work.
So instead of being replaced, we'd be working alongside AI.
Yeah.
Kind of like partners.
Exactly. Think about doctors who could use AI to diagnose diseases more accurately.
Right.
Or architects using AI to design more sustainable buildings.
Okay.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Okay. I can see how that could be a good thing.
Right.
But what about the potential downsides?
Sure.
The article also mentions this idea of superintelligence.
Yeah.
AI that's not just as smart as humans, but like surpasses us in every way.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of terrifying.
Superintelligence is definitely a concept that sparks a lot of debate.
Yeah.
And yes, some fear.
For sure.
But the article makes a really interesting point.
Okay. What's that?
It suggests that maybe our fear of superintelligence comes from our own limited perspective.
What do you mean?
Well, we tend to think of intelligence as this like linear progression
Okay.
with humans at the top.
Right.
But what if intelligence isn't linear at all?
Mm.
What if it's more like a tree with many branches,
Okay.
each representing a different kind of intelligence?
So you're saying superintelligence might not be human intelligence plus more,
Right.
but something entirely different.
Exactly. It might be a type of intelligence that we can't even comprehend right now.
Wow.
Just like a dog can't understand calculus.
Okay.
It might not even have the same goals or motivations as humans.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a whole new way of thinking about it.
It is.
But even if superintelligence isn't necessarily a threat,
Yeah.
aren't there still potential dangers with AGI in general?
Sure.
I mean, what if it goes rogue, makes decisions that are harmful to humans?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And the article does address the need for safeguards. It talks about the importance of building in ethical frameworks and control mechanisms,
Okay.
kind of like safety protocols for a powerful machine.
So it's not just about letting AGI develop on its own.
Right.
We need to guide it in a direction that benefits humanity.
Precisely. We need to be proactive in shaping the development of AGI,
Yeah.
ensuring that it aligns with our values and goals.
But how do you control something that's potentially smarter than you? What's to stop it from outsmarting us, finding ways around the safeguards we put in place?
That's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
The article suggests that one approach might be to focus on aligning the goals of AGI with human goals,
Okay.
rather than trying to control it directly.
Got it.
If AGI's motivations are aligned with ours, then it's more likely to make decisions that are beneficial to humanity.
So it's more about collaboration than control.
Yeah.
Finding ways to work together, even though we might not fully understand each other.
Exactly. It's like any relationship, really.
Yeah.
It requires trust, communication, and a willingness to learn and adapt.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
So we've talked about the potential benefits of AGI, the fear of superintelligence,
Yeah.
and the need for safeguards.
Right.
But the article also hints at something even more profound. The idea that AGI could change our understanding of consciousness itself.
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe a little philosophical.
I'm all ears. Where do we even begin with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we left off talking about how AGI could change how we think about consciousness.
Right.
A big jump. I know.
Yeah.
We were talking about like jobs and superintelligence a second ago. Now we're getting all philosophical.
It is fascinating, though.
Yeah, but the article definitely brought up some pretty thought-provoking ideas about it.
It did.
So how would AGI and consciousness even go together?
Well, we tend to think of consciousness as,
Yeah.
this sense of self-awareness, the ability to experience the world subjectively.
Okay.
But what if those experiences, those feelings,
Yeah.
they actually just arise from the complexity of our brains?
Kind of like that emergence thing we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
Where something new appears from a bunch of smaller parts working together.
Uh-huh.
So are you saying consciousness could like emerge in AGI just because it's so complex?
It's a possibility that the article brings up.
Yeah.
And a really intriguing one.
Right.
If consciousness arises from complexity, then theoretically any sufficiently complex system could develop it.
Whoa, okay, so that means we might not even be able to recognize AGI consciousness if we saw it.
It's possible.
What if it's totally different from our own?
Right.
Like, what if it experiences the world through data and algorithms instead of senses?
Exactly.
How would we even know?
That's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, our understanding of consciousness is still evolving.
Right.
And we tend to define it based on our own human experiences.
Of course.
But AGI consciousness could be something totally different. Something beyond our current comprehension.
It's like we're back in the Stone Age trying to explain the internet to someone who's never even seen electricity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just so outside their frame of reference.
Right. Okay, so let's say, for argument's sake, that AGI does develop consciousness.
Okay.
Then what does that change how we treat it?
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't just be a machine anymore, right?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the article really dives into it.
Okay.
It asks if we acknowledge that an AI is conscious. Does it deserve the same rights and considerations as any other sentient being?
Wow.
Do we owe it a certain level of respect or even autonomy?
Yeah, we'd have to rethink like a lot of our assumptions about intelligence.
Right.
About life itself.
Uh-huh.
It would be like discovering a new species not on another planet, but right here on Earth, created by us.
Precisely. It would challenge our entire worldview.
Yeah.
Forcing us to expand our circle of compassion and redefine what it means to be part of a shared world with other intelligent beings.
That's intense.
It is.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has been pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, for sure.
We started by talking about AGI as a new species.
Right.
And we ended up talking about the very nature of consciousness.
It's all connected. As we explore AGI, we're not just exploring new technologies.
Right.
We're exploring new ways of understanding ourselves, our place in the universe.
Yeah.
And the potential for intelligence to exist in forms we never even imagined.
I think this deep dive has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
It's clear that AGI is way more than just a technological advancement.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical challenge, an ethical dilemma.
Right.
And maybe even a glimpse into the future of consciousness itself.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for taking this journey with me.
Of course, it's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep those questions coming and join us next time as we continue to dive deep into the world of AGI and beyond.